welcome to the show. I'm your host, Bryan Lee Whatley. The story begins tonight with our very special guest, Betsy Morgan Coffman, speaking on her abilities to channel angels and spirit guides. Betsy is a premier channeler for angels and guides to help us in our spiritual and lifelong journeys. Not only that, but she is a well-known channeling teacher. She has been teaching psychic development classes to thousands of people for a very long time in her state, through her books and her shows. I'm not sure who, well, to be honest with you, I'm not sure who this show was supposed to reach out and touch, whether it was several people or just one. But I strongly feel for some reason or another, this show was produced for a very special reason. And only for that reason is known to you who is watching or listening. Or maybe you know of someone who is in need of talking with her, and you should pass this show and her information on to your friend. The only thing I can say is follow your heart and what your spiritual voice tells you to do. Because that's what I did. Our musical guest tonight is Karen Sokolof Javitch and her production house JMR Productions. This song is for one of her musicals, Everything Happens at Westside High School. And the song is One People, One Destiny. It's a very beautiful song, very fitting, and says a lot. So please sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
How are you doing today?
Hi there, Brian. I'm doing great, and I'm really excited to be on your show.
I'm so excited to have you here. My day has been just kind of, I feel lightened today. Maybe it's because I know that I was going to get the chance to talk to you, but I woke up and I was like, wow, the sun is a little bit brighter and the birds are a little bit more cheerful and everything else going on. So I'm so happy that I get a chance to talk to you.
Well, isn't that sweet of you to say that? Thank you. I felt the same way. I loved our conversation yesterday, and I just look forward to getting more time to be with you and to get to know some of your listening audience better. I want to say hello to everyone, and I'm glad everyone tuned in.
Well, thank you so much. I know everybody's glad to have you here as well. Because the topics that we're going to be talking about is your work in angels and guides and classes that you teach and everything. But before we get into there, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, about you and your work?
Sure. Perhaps I'll begin with the beginning, a good place to start. I was born in Missouri, a beautiful place. However, I really didn't feel that I fit in Missouri. It's a beautiful place, but I couldn't find anyone to talk about things that I could relate to, such as the sensitivity I had to see angels and to feel their presence and to be aware of information that wasn't visible to us, that was true at a higher reality. I like to say that we as human beings define reality by our five senses, like taste, touch, smell, and hearing. And that's normal. That's what is accepted. But I was aware of another level of reality that is defined by the sixth sense. And I really didn't feel comfortable. I couldn't find anyone that could relate to what I wanted to talk about. So I kept very quiet, and I became very shy and withdrawn. When I grew up, I was about 25, when I decided to move to Albuquerque. One of my first psychic experiences, actually, I was working my way through college at Yellowstone, and the person introduced himself to me, and as we shook hands, he said, "I am from," and his mouthed the word Albuquerque, but all I heard were bells, and I knew that was a sign from the divine. I'm saying that on purpose because some of your listeners, I think, may have had psychic experiences, but we hesitate to confirm that for ourselves. We often look for an outside authority to give us validation. And I want to confirm to everyone, if you are wondering if you have psychic abilities, you do. We're born with them. It's natural. So I followed that, and when I had an invitation to move to Albuquerque, I did. And here in this area of our beautiful country, I have many opportunities to join with other psychically talented or aware beings, human beings. And I have simply grown step by step and year by year into a gift or a skill that I can share with the world.
Oh, that's nice. I like that about the bells and moving to Albuquerque to feel better about it. I hear it's a beautiful place. I haven't ever had a chance to be there yet, but I do hear it's wonderful. So my questions about angels before we start. I'm kind of a spiritual person. Could you lead us into a little prayer quickly?
Oh, I would love that, Bryan. Thank you for asking me. I always begin each channeling if I'm going to give someone a private reading or if someone's taking either a private class or a group class. I do those, by the way, on the phone or in person. I always begin with a prayer. I feel that, I don't know, Bryan, have you ever heard of something Buddha said? He actually did say nothing is more fragile than action without prayer. And I really believe that.
Wow.
Do you like that?
Yes, that's beautiful. I love that.
Isn't that beautiful? Nothing's more fragile than action without prayer. Prayer works. So I feel that I'm a very spiritual person. My belief system embraces all religions. I happen to be Christian, but that doesn't mean that I don't accept and believe in what you believe. I think all paths lead us home to God. So my prayers are very open. And this is what a prayer would sound like before I do a channeling or teaching. I like to do a centering, a cleansing, and protection. The reason we do centering is that so many of us are very distracted by the outside world. We tend to believe in the 3D world, and that's understandable. We've been taught that that's reality. But you know, everyone can watch the same thing, and we all take from it a different perception. And so our perceptions really may not always be accurate or truthful. So when people come to receive a reading, they may feel sad or afraid, or they may not be certain. And if we can help someone to become present in the moment, they leave those distractions behind and become more centered in love and in truth. And then I do the cleansing, which releases negativity, and then we do the prayer of protection, which helps to keep us safe and happy because we open our chakras when we open to the psychic realm. So this is what it would sound like. This is rather typical. I close my eyes and I take a nice deep breath, and often I will say to the listeners, at this time let us close our eyes, and I invite all of your listeners to do the same, and let us take a nice deep relaxing breath. And as we do so, just let yourself drop into that beautiful open heart of yours, and together we simply open our heart to love, to life, and to God. Whatever you call God doesn't matter. Dear God, thank you for this opportunity to come together with new friends, people who were once strangers, now become spiritual family. I praise the technology that we have today. And at this time, I invite 100,000 angels for every single listener, as well as for Bryan and for Betsy Morgan. And dear friends of light, please cleanse us out at this time, taking to heaven anything that's negative or false, anything that would detract from our experience being joyful and loving. And please cleanse that. And I ask for the presence of Archangel Michael to cut any cords of negativity, leaving us free and happy. Please fill us with light. And the 100,000 angels, please keep us protected and lifted throughout this day, knowing that when we are complete with this beautiful radio show, all of us will be healthier and happier human beings. And so it is.
Amen.
There's a typical prayer.
Oh, I love that. That's very peaceful.
Thank you.
It's very calming.
Thank you. I love prayer. In fact, you know, Bryan, that's kind of how I got into channeling. I was an assistant minister in a church for years. I've had quite an interesting past. May I share a bit of it?
Yes, please, go ahead.
Okay. I was a high school teacher and a realtor. I was in National Speakers Association, Toastmasters. I noticed you too.
Yes, I am. I love them.
Toastmasters. And became a Reiki master. I did rebirthing for a while, and then again as an assistant minister. So when I was doing the ministry, I noticed how beautiful prayer was. I was kind of swept away into a very peaceful place. And so I really enjoyed doing prayer, and I noticed I enjoyed doing it out loud. I think that helped to pave the way, that and doing Reiki, which is a healing art. And I was actually administering a Reiki to someone. They were laying on the table, and I was giving to them Reiki energy, which is essentially laying on of hands where energy is brought into that other person's body, and they receive it according to their willingness to receive it. I heard a voice in my head start speaking out loud, and this was back in, gosh, it was over 20 years ago, and I was shocked and a little afraid, and I started, being from Missouri, you know, that's the show me state,
Yeah,
and I
yes.
improved. And so I talked back to that voice, and I told it to leave, and it continued to have a conversation with me, and I'm so grateful that I listened and that I followed its instructions. At that time, Bryan, I was very poor. I was a single mom, raising my 2 kids by myself, and I thought to myself, what do I have to lose? I'm going to listen to this voice and see what it's going to bring me. And it basically said, I'm a friend from the stars, and his name was and is Orion. And he said, I'm here to help people who would like to open to channels. And I'm going to do that through you. You're going to teach people how to channel. And I told the voice, you've got the wrong girl. I don't know how to do that.
I ain't wrong. That's funny. Okay.
And the voice said, oh, this is a gift that I want to offer to everyone who's listening. The voice said to me, you don't have to know how to channel. All you have to do is be willing to show up, and I'll do the rest. And what I've learned, Bryan, is when we are willing to show up for life, or when we're willing to show up to channel, we can open to a higher power that loves us, and will come through the use of our open hearts and our high intentions to serve the world. I think that the word channeling has been defined in so many different ways that some people may feel it is something to be afraid of. But channeling is a very loving and healing art form that's offered to each individual or to a group for the purposes of helping them to remember who they are, which is beautiful, quite simply. I could talk more and more, but I want to pause and give you a chance to respond. I'm quite talky.
Oh, well, it's good that you're talky, and I'm just kind of enthralled and mesmerized by what you're saying. That if you didn't pause, I'd just sit there and let you go on all day. I'm like so enthralled in what you're saying. So Orion is the main. Orion is the main person that you channel. Is he an angel, or is he? What exactly is Orion?
What a good question. I'm so glad you asked that, because there is a difference, Bryan. Orion, surprisingly enough, because believe me, I was surprised. I am old school, so I had to be kind of coached and encouraged. I would only take this step by step. As I said, you really have to prove it to me. And anyone who's skeptical, I was there, and it's okay to be skeptical. So Orion is a being of light from another universe. A very high being of light. He calls himself a star being, essentially. He's a very high frequency, loving being who's come here for 2 purposes. 1, to help anyone who wants to learn how to channel. And 2, to let other people, to let all of us on the planet know that there are beings of light from the stars who love us and want to help us if we call upon them to do so. So there are star beings. Now, I want to let everyone know, if you do choose to open to channels, star beings or angels or other beings, always qualify who you want to come into your energy field, because there's all kinds of energies out there. Just like if you were to walk into Walmart, I like to use that as an example, God bless Walmart, but there's all kinds of energies in there.
God bless Walmart.
You may want to protect yourself before you go in, and cleanse yourself when you come out. The same thing applies with channeling. Always qualify who you invite, highest, best, most loving, and easiest, and bring in those high beings. Now, they might be star beings, they might be angels, they might be ascended masters, and for any of you who want to learn how to channel, call up Orion. He is a teacher guide for the different kinds of guides. And each one of you have a different passion in your heart. If you can clarify and identify the passion in your heart, then you can clarify and be specific with the kind of guide that you want to call in. But always ask highest, best, and loving so that you can get a really nice guide, one that's easy to work with. Does that make sense to you, Bryan?
Yeah, I had a little bit more questions on the differences and how you actually can tell, like whenever you call off, say, I really need some help, I need somebody to come down and assist me. How do you know the difference between the angel or a star being who's helping you? Can you describe them? Do you know what they look like? How would somebody be able to tell the difference, say, between Archangel Michael or Orion?
Yes. Now, I'm clairvoyant, so when I didn't know that until Orion came in, I'm going to take a step back and then come 2 steps forward to answer your question. When one learns how to channel, at least when they learn with the Orion technology, Orion will open the top chakra, the one at the top of your head, which is your channeling chakra. And through this beautiful white light pours the light of love, which opens and cleanses all of the other chakras, including your third eye, throat, and heart. Those are your channeling chakras. When this happens, your individual, unique, and specific gifts start to develop. You may be a medium, one who can talk to people who have passed over to heaven. You may be a medical intuitive, one who can identify problems in another person's body, and perhaps even be a healer who can help them to heal. Perhaps you have remote viewing and can look into a person's body, even if you're talking to them on the phone. Maybe you do automatic writing. Maybe you're a channel. Maybe you're clairvoyant. Well, when you open to channel, the original chakra that opens is your crown, and it pours the beautiful light in and stimulates the opening of your other chakras and encourages the development of your specific gift. One of my gifts happens to be that I'm clairvoyant as well as a channel, and that I do remote viewing and can do some healing work. Something I find very interesting that you might want to know is that to do healing work takes more energy than channeling. So if I'm going to do a channeling with healing, I may only do 2 readings that day. But if I'm just going to do teaching and channeling, I could do 3, maybe 4. Radio shows take, believe it or not, take the least amount of energy because I am talk channeling. I am involved both with my human self and awareness, as well as allowing my guides to come in and influence the words that are spoken so that they can be the most valuable for the listeners, for the group listening audience. The spirit guides that are being utilized for us in the radio show today are guides that already know who's listening so that they can make this conversation educational, valuable, and enjoyable all at the same time. So they are already working with me, and I would call this talk channeling. It requires the least amount of physical energy. Now, the way then I perceive an angel versus a star being is I see them. I can see the angels. I can see the star beings. When I'm teaching classes and somebody brings in a guide, whether it be a star being, an ascended master such as Jesus or Saint Germain or Saint Francis, I will be able to look in their energy field to see if they are authentically connecting with that being of light. I will be able to see it and then know it. I call it SEE-KNOW, see know. I will see the being and then I will know. I will ask the visual image that I receive, are you? Is this valid? Is this true? And I will get a knowing. Sometimes I will get an internal yes. You know, we are quite capable of seeing things with our physical eyes. But the eyes that we are developing when we open the channel will be your inner vision, your inner hearing, your inner knowing. And you will be amazed at how quickly that can open. It can open in a day, in one class. Once this chakra is open, you connect with the guide through Orion's help. I have a passion for frequency. And the frequency which lifts you and connects you to your specific personal guide will help you to identify your passion and to develop your personal gift. So you will be able to either see angels, or you will be able to feel angels, or hear them, or know them. You know, there's NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, and we do tend to interpret the reality through our perceptions depending upon the sensory awareness that we've already developed. So if you're already visual, you'll probably see your guides. If you're auditory, you'll probably hear your guides. If you're kinesthetic, you'll probably feel them. So it is different for each person. And we learn how, through practice, to develop confidence in that.
So if you were to, like, say, describe somebody, like I've heard angels are pretty large beings versus what you would see on TV, of course, but is there a general size or shape or anything that you would hear or see whenever you're looking at angels?
Yes, Archangel Michael is very tall and blue, and Gabriel is not quite as tall, but almost. I see Michael, it varies between 8 to 11 feet. Gabriel's more 7 feet to me. And one of your guides is Archangel Gabriel. A guide that comes and goes with you is Archangel Michael. I'm asking why Gabriel, and he says, I'm the guide of communication and courage, and I'm here to help Bryan bring light to the world. He's educating people for the highest good of all concerned. And Michael is here for you as a protector guide, and he calls himself your brother. He feels that you're very spiritual, and he wants to make sure that you give as much to yourself as you give to others. Would you relate to that?
You're telling me they're here with us now? You're channeling them now?
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow, that gives me goosebumps. I get tears in my eyes now. I wasn't expecting that.
Good. Now, fine. That is your physical body responding to the yes. Truth spoken expands. It has been measured. And when the vibration of truth is experienced by our physical bodies acknowledge that by either goosebumps or tears, or we perceive the temperature of the room changing, or we might get, I call it a psychic quack on the back of the neck. Our bodies receive information and begin to tell us something is happening.
Oh, wow. Well, that kind of, when you mentioned the two different angels and their descriptions and why they're here, that was going to be one of my next questions. Is there different types of help of why you would call a particular angel down? Whether Michael being a protector or, like you said, Gabriel being a communicator, I believe. Is that correct?
Yes. Raphael is a healing angel. One of my most exciting angel friends is Azrael. Azrael is, okay, everybody, Azrael is the angel of death. There is an angel of death. Careful. I once asked Azrael to take me to heaven and let me experience it. And he said, well, Betsy, I can get you to heaven, but I can't guarantee I can get you back.
Oh, wow.
And I have a great respect for this angel. Very big, very powerful, no nonsense with this angel. He's serious.
I can imagine.
Oh, yes. And now, Bryan, you're very kinesthetic. I bet you've got a heart as big as gold. I don't know if you cry at Kodak commercials, but
I do. Oh, my God.
So you might be able to simply feel Azrael's energy as we are talking about him right now, and then choose to confirm that you can feel the difference when I say, Archangel Michael, will you step forward and be close to Bryan? And you can, it's almost like tasting chocolate and vanilla ice cream. You will begin to develop your sensory awareness, your higher sense perception. Could you feel the difference there?
To be honest, no.
Well, you know, I think it has to do with your trust. I'm being a little bold by saying that because it might be new to you. I know that you've had many wonderful adventures with the paranormal and that you are interested in angels. I'm very happy to have known that about you. But for an individual to accept authority and permission to be powerful, to have the answers, that's a new level of acceptance. We often accept what we can do in the world because we have visual receptors that will say yes or no, and it's quite well defined. But when we have to trust ourselves and there's nothing seen, and it's all experienced within, it's a whole other level of accepting one's authority. So what I'm seeing is that you did experience it lightly. You did. I felt it go into you because I can see it and then I can feel it. But there is this part of you that's not quite ready to accept that you're an authority figure in that way.
Well, I think part of my problem is I have my collegiate background is in engineering, and so I have just like you were talking about, earlier about skeptics, I have a very scientific mindset on one side, and on the other side, I'm very, very spiritual and believing in this type of work. And so sometimes that thin line between the two different mindsets is hard to cross. And that's why it's like, okay, well, I don't see any mathematical or scientific proof or reasoning or anything that I can actually, kinesthetically feel or touch or anything at the moment. But then when I got my goosebumps and tears and stuff, I was just like, well, okay, maybe that was it. So both sides of my mind have to stop and think about it in order for me to accept it. So maybe that was, and sometimes I stay a little guarded, not necessarily meaning to. I guess the fact that you said that they're here kind of caught me off guard. I wasn't expecting it.
Yes.
So no disrespect for them.
About you. Yes, those people who have been trained more scientifically are used to having measurable results in the physical realm. So it's the fact that you are cautious is great. It doesn't make you in any way one that would be a bad channel. It just means you're cautious. We don't want to make any more of it than it is. Just accepting it for what it is. And then when and if you were to, of course, you're always welcome to take a class with me. It'd be so fun to have you in the class and tease you a little.
Yeah, I had to bring all my gadgets and little electronic measuring devices.
Then I would know that that's something that I would get to work with to help you move past that, to experience more of the reality and the joy in your heart. Because you and I know you've got a great heart that loves to have fun.
Oh, I do love to have fun. And it's interesting that you mentioned Israel, because unlike most people like to think about heavenly beings and spiritual beings to having such a great grandeur of responsibility in terms of love and light and bringing happiness to the world, but there's, on the flip side of that, there's the very rudimentary, very solid part of life is the ending. And like most people know that, who know me, know that I'm the last of my surviving family except for my kids, and my mother and brother and father have all passed away and stuff like that. So knowing that the angel of death is out there is very real to me. And so I respect him highly for what he does. It's not necessarily, and like you said, he's very bold and very standing, which I could believe, because it's a very necessity, unfortunately, part of life, that it comes to an end and we either ascend or something. So it was interesting that you mentioned him, considering most of my family and my best friends are gone. So.
Yes, and by the way, goosebumps on that. By the way, your grandmother in heaven has been with us this whole time, and calling in your mom. She's very proud of you, very, very proud of you, and wants you to know she was very close to you during the holiday season, during Christmas. There must have been some kind of a traditional celebration that you all had, because she said she felt you think of her, and she came close. That more goosebumps?
Yeah, you're gonna make me cry on there.
Great. Lovely. For all of us, we get the sense of the reality that exceeds the physical, that there is a reality of love that's ongoing. We do not die, but we do lose our body.
Nice.
So we do not die.
That's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
Yes.
Okay, for guides, what is the difference between guides? Or is there a similarity? Is an angel a guide, or is there like a spiritual guide from somebody like you mentioned, my mother or somebody else? Are there other guides that have passed on before that come and help us? How do people come across guides, and what is the
your grandmother?
behind guides?
She's capable of talking to you and being a guide. She's got a real fun sense of humor, and she's joking around and saying that she would love to talk to you and tell you. She says sometimes you work too hard, and she wants to help you get off it. That makes it.
Yeah, I'm a workaholic.
Yeah, she's saying, "Come on now, son, have more fun." But I believe that's your grandmother, but your mom's agreeing with it. That she knows that you love your work very much. Your mom does, and she's protecting you. So, yes, there are different guides for different purposes. When each one of us choose to channel and open up to the reality of the higher realm, again, the third dimension is a reality that is seen by our five senses. The sixth sense, the higher sense, begins to perceive a reality that is invisible to the eye but felt by the heart, and it's nevertheless as much real and a component of our life as the visible world. So the guides come from this higher expression, and you can bring in angels or star beings, or ascended masters and describe to them what you are looking for. When I teach my classes, I tell and I take them, there's a setup, there is a structure. So when they leave the class, they will leave with a structure where they can apply it without me and bring in the guide that they want to channel. And it goes something like this. I now invite, of course, I've said part of this, I now invite my highest, best, most loving, and easiest channeling guide now. Once they meet their guide, there's a time during the class where they meet 3 guides and develop a relationship and receive messages of love and start channeling. They get their name, and then they get to feel what each guide feels like and which guide is easiest for them to channel at that time. And again, I want to reiterate to your listening audience that anyone who's listening and you want to start practicing on your own, feel free to invite Orion, O-R-I-O-N, like the stars. He'd actually broadcast to the middle star of the belt of Orion. He will help you to lift your frequency and connect with your personal guide, but always qualify a loving, high-being guide. When your personal guide comes in, the one that's easy and loving for you to channel, you will get a feeling with that guide. So you want to choose a guide that feels good, of course, that feels loving. Each guide having its own purpose, passion, and personality will feel differently to you, and you will begin to be able to be aware of the feelings either through your sensory awareness of feeling, hearing, knowing, or seeing. And I work with each individual in the class. The class consists of only 4 to 8 people because I want to be sure to work with each individual and coach them individually into the channeling experience. So I will be able to find which guide works best for you as well as you knowing it. And they do feel differently, and they have different names.
I like that.
And angels is equally easy to channel as star beings.
So whenever you're phrasing it, and is there a better way to communicate with them, or a better way to really phrase it? And how, I guess, kind of one of my issues is how do we interpret their assistance best, and what if we don't really like what they say? Should we always follow it, or is there an option not to? Or is it just, they say it, and, we still have to make the conscious decision whether, yes, that is what we think, or not? Does that kind of make sense for a question?
Yes, very much, very much. Thank you. I always coach my students to give the power back to the people. When people come to a psychic, usually they give us accolades and power because they are hopeful, basically, that we will tell the person, I call them the sitter, the person who's come to get a reading, they're hopeful we'll tell them you're going to be safe and happy, maybe even rich and loved. Who doesn't want to hear that? And then all its responsibility is put in our lap, and yet we have to tell the truth as we perceive it to be. So with the truth that is offered, I like for my students to tell the sitter that the power is in their hands, that we will give to them a snapshot of what they are attracting today, according to their consciousness. Everything is ours by right of consciousness. Cleanse the consciousness of the individual and change the future. So we will ask the person who comes for a reading, what would you like to have happen? And then we'll ask our spirit guides, how can they get this? We'll also ask, is this for their highest good? What lesson will they learn? What is possible for them to receive at this time if nothing changes in their consciousness? And what lesson will they learn here? Are they on their correct soul plan? How can they readjust this plan? And there are just so many, many, many questions that you can ask for the sitter to assist them in recognizing their co-creativity with God, and that they always have the greatest gift that's ever been given to us, free will. We can always say yes or no to any psychic. There is not a psychic on the planet that is accurate 100% of the time. So if information is ever given to someone who's getting a psychic reading and it simply does not feel good, yes, trash it. Own your power, know what you want, and ask the psychic, is it possible for me to get this outcome? And how? Did I answer your question, Bryan?
Yeah, I think so. Are they always around? Because you mentioned earlier that my mother and grandmother and stuff are around. Are they always around all the time, or just when we need them? And I guess another question for that would be, are they around when we're having like a private moment or something? How does that
Are they
work
around
out?
more what?
When, like, say we're in the shower, we're just having a private moment, we're in the shower. Are they around then?
No, they don't ever invade our privacy. No, they live outside of time and space. We as human beings have accepted certain rules of the game. We are living in an illusion. We've projected everything onto our TV screen called the human existence. But we're projecting it from our belief systems, our consciousness, and so we see the world as we believe it is to be. And when we leave the physical body, we leave the ego behind, and so we change sets of rules, and we move outside time and space. Those people who've had the good fortune to go to heaven have a greater sense of freedom, joy, love, and self-expression. And they are quite capable of hearing and feeling your love for them, any sense of regret or desire to apologize, any words that you would like to offer to them to complete your relationship. They know when you're sad and when you're missing them. They know when you want to invite them to come close. Now, my experience is when people die, they are around their body and around their loved ones for 4 to 2 weeks before they actually leave. 2 to 4 weeks? 4 days.
Oh, 4 days to 2. Okay. Wow,
and,
that's a long time.
Yeah. I had the wonderful opportunity to get to hold my daddy when he died, my mama when she died, and my little sister when she passed into heaven. And I learned a great deal about the death and dying process. I can really empathize with your experience of losing loved ones. It's not fun. And there is required for us, because we are still humans, a grieving process. We have lost the physical connection. We haven't lost them, but that joy of experiencing life in the physical in this personality is gone forever. We will never get this opportunity back. So if there's anyone out there that you want to tell them you love them, tell them now, because we're all headed out of here. Some may take the 10 a.m. and some the 5:15. We're all headed out of here sooner or later. And so give the love while you can, because the physical is temporary. So they're not in your face, but they are aware of you, and you can call upon them at any time, and they will hear you and immediately show up to respond. Oh, something else. May I continue?
Yes, please.
Okay, when people pass over, there are different stages or levels of moving away from the physical. The first one I was going to share, when my little sister passed over, I was in the hospital with her. She passed about 5 a.m., and I was there with her older son, and she said, "Betsy, pray me into heaven." So we each touched a shoulder and held each other's hands, and we said the Lord's Prayer. And then my nephew's name is Bryan as well, and Bryan, yes, he said out loud, "Mama, can you hear me?" And he's 38 years old. And with that, Bryan, I'm talking to you now, Bryan,
okay.
we had a humidifier on one of the tables, and it had been there for days, almost a week. The humidifier, we watched it, moved itself to the corner of the table and spilled over onto the floor. And we both looked at each other and cried with tears of joy that she had heard us. And then at her memorial, we had both the service and the memorial. We stood next to her casket to have a picture taken of the whole family, and all of our cell phones started ringing at the same time, and we were all calling each other. Of course, they were in our pockets. And so we pulled them out, and we looked at each other and started laughing. Gigi was with us. So they are with us. I've had many experiences like that. I would love to tell you more experiences about people who passed into heaven and can't find the light, and who have dropped into my body. I seem to have some kind of, I don't know if you call it a gift or what, but they drop right into my body. I have to cleanse them out and send them on to heaven. I always ask for Jesus, because that is who I feel good with, to help send them on to heaven. And Archangel Michael is wonderful with that. I simply say to them, and if anyone listening, if you have the same situation, just say, "You trust this light in me, then please trust that I know the light you're looking for. It's not me. Trust me, and take the hand of Jesus on one hand, and take the hand of Archangel Michael on the other, then let them take you home to the true light. And then you will feel them lift out of your body and go home with great gratitude. And you might cry because you will actually feel their gratitude and love as they leave.
That's beautiful. I like that.
Huh? You're getting goosebumps again?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. That was beautiful. I really like that.
Oh, good. There's so many experiences I'd like to share with you.
Yeah, please do. Anyone that you feel you want to share, we'd love to hear. Your classes that you teach, because you've taught a lot of people, a lot of people. Why do you teach so many people to channel?
Thank you. I have two things I'd like to talk about. This question, and if I have a chance, I'd like to talk about working with John of God and all the psychic healers and still experience.
Yes,
I
definitely.
teach people how to channel because for me it is a life path, a spiritual experience. I tell my students that when I teach them how to channel, many people are attracted to the class, but I quickly identify what channeling means to me. It's a healing art form, a path to God, a path of the open heart, the great equalizer, the unity, the harmony of all life, where we can see each other as equals. And it doesn't matter how old or young we are, what certificates we hold, what initials are after our name, that what is true about all people is that we want to give and receive love. We want to be accepted. We want to be forgiven. And so what channeling does is help to find that bliss, that place of peace that passes all understanding, and brings us all together with great harmony. It just so happens that when you open the channel, you become psychic and you can do readings. So that's kind of the icing on the cake, the coup de grace. But opening the channel is a very beautiful spiritual experience. And you know, for instance, David Hawkins, who wrote a magnificent book called Power versus Force, does state that the energy field is measurable. Frequency is measurable. And those people who channel have the highest frequency. And what does that mean in practical terms? It means people with a higher frequency are generally healthier and happier human beings who live longer. We have longevity. We look younger. Now, Brian, you saw my picture. I'm 65.
Oh, my God. No.
How old would you think that looked?
Honestly, I would have thought maybe, mid to late 40s.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I actually, 2 more months, I'll be 65. But I feel that the spiritual energy provides health, beauty, longevity, inner peace, willingness to serve. Jesus said, the greatest among you will be a servant of all. And not that you need to follow Jesus. It's just that these beautiful masters have told us pearls of wisdom. If we apply them, we'll be happier and healthier human beings. So the reason I'm so passionate about channeling is it is a path of great enlightenment, personal peace, inner freedom. It's a wonderful, wonderful path. And you become psychic and can know all kinds of other information as well. But in the moment, if you can find peace in the moment, if you can learn to stop resisting what is and to accept what is as a perfect plan of God, that God is always holding you safe and that everything is okay just the way it is, you can have a happier life. And it really counts that you're happy now. Happy now.
There's this thing that's coming up with the new year, 2012. Can you talk a little bit about that? How do you feel about it? What can we expect?
I don't know how much time we have left. If you could clue me in, I don't know if I can talk any about psychic surgery and how they use guides, as well as talking about our star being friends. But if there's time for both, just keep me clued in. Could you help me there?
Just talk as long as you want, and I'll handle everything else. Because like the Council of 12 and the Pleiadians, you have this great class that's coming up for people who want to register for it, setting the stage for 2012, all this stuff. So you know a lot about it. So I'm curious on how you tie all this together.
Yeah, thank you. On New Year's Day, I'm having a 1-hour class, and people can find out more about that on my website, which is www.askbetsymorgan.com, and you will find that class on there. The class on New Year's Day is celebrating the excitement about 2012. I'm sure that most of us have heard 2012 is going to be an incredible year. So this class is designed to prepare ourselves for what will be a monumental year for the Earth plane. It's a way that we can help to charge our own batteries and to bring each one of us as an individual can bring a high frequency to the planet. I think sometimes human beings might become unhappy because they don't know what their purpose is, or they think they don't have a purpose. Well, we do. Each one of us has a very important purpose, and one purpose we have, believe it or not, everyone, is just to be happy. Happy is a frequency, and each one of us, if we hold the frequency of happiness or love or forgiveness or compassion, we are living our purpose, and we are contributing, we are of service. So this class and this time, this year of 2012, is an opportunity to step into our personal power by owning we make a difference, one person at a time, and that we can be a champion in this new consciousness if we choose to simply be responsible for what we're feeling. Now, sometimes people forget what they're feeling, and I tell you a good way to take a look at what you're feeling is to look at your thoughts. If your thoughts are slow and down and unhappy, your feelings have promoted stinking thinking.
Stinking thinking?
Yeah.
Nice.
So you can take the first step to think a different thought. I make a difference, and my difference is good. I'm a good person, I am loved, and I have purpose, and I bring passion. So this class that's happening is all about clarifying your personal vision for yourself in the world, and how to activate that creative power, and to begin to live from there, and to remember that moment by moment you either add or detract from the overall well-being of our planet. So, yes, 2012 is going to be a very important year. 2011 was a year of great cleansing. Gosh, it was monumental, wasn't it, with the economy and the political scene and what's going on globally with the social unrest, because we have been suppressed, and now it's like, remember that movie Network? I'm not going to take it anymore. I don't know, you may be way too young.
Yeah, I don't remember that one.
It was a good movie. So it's time for global change, and 2012 will be a revolutionary year. We have now cleansed, and we are now ready to clarify our vision and step into it by taking action. And 2012 will bring some climate change, some structural change to our planet, and an opportunity for each one of us to kind of choose an allegiance. Do we want to say yes to love or yes to fear? Orion told me long ago that there will come a parting. I didn't know back then. It was 20 years ago when he said some people will go to the left and some people will go to the right. And those that go to the left won't know those that go to the right. And those that go to the right won't know those that go to the left. I didn't understand what it meant at the time. But now I see that there are dimensions of life, and that we are multidimensional beings of light. Some will go to the fifth dimension, where there is more love, beauty, living heaven on earth. And some will stay at the third dimension. We don't need to worry about what that's going to look like. We don't have to worry. Our mission, should we choose to accept it, is to just love unconditionally, and to let other people make their choices, and to trust that they're following their own path, which will eventually lead them to God, just like ours will. So 2012 is a very power-packed year when we're all going to be experiencing the result of our choice.
So that's interesting that you said people to make the choices, and whatever they're supposed to be, that's what they're going to be, and for you to love them unconditionally. And I've always felt that way. It's always a matter of whoever a person is, I respect them for whoever they are as long as they accept it. And once I know who they are, then I love them for who they are. If they're a mean person and they're just, that way, that's fine. I respect them for who they are. If they're a very nice person, or, they like math, or they like drawing, or they whatever, as long as they are who they are, then I'm going to respect and love them for that,
right,
and accept them for that. So it's really interesting that you said that. Do you think in 2012, there's that whole end of the world thing that's going on, and spaceships
not.
and Pleiadians and
Right.
councils and stuff?
I believe that spaceships will come. Some people will see them. And of course, we have had sightings. Many governments do not allow us to be privy to much information, and that's one of the pieces of information. That's another good reason to be psychic, because you can begin to tell what's real, what's true, and what is not. So star beings are here among us. In fact, you're a star being, my dear friend Bryan.
Oh.
You've got a lot of you've got some Arcturian energy, which is very creative and green energy of knowledge, technology. And you also have touched in on the Palladian realm, which is open heart and lots of love. So you're a blend. Most of us are hybrids, but we have spent more time or more of our incarnations coming from one star or planet than another.
Oh, wow.
I'm Palladian. Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
It's very fascinating, isn't it?
It is. It kind of leaves me speechless on that talk show. I'm like, wow.
You have a little one. The littlest one in your household is Palladian and has some special star being gifts. You probably noticed there's something different or ethereal about that little 2 or 3-year-old you've got in your house.
Yes, my daughter.
And the kind of softness and open heart. Is it a little girl child?
Mm-hmm. She's my daughter.
She's very beautiful, very special. Both your children are, but this one is going to bring an incredible new frequency of love to you and to the planet.
I have to tell you, in an experiment that I did with her at one point, I'm very scientific. I study origin chakras, and there's a good friend of mine owns her own aura company where you can get aura readings from, and I sat down, and every year I had my aura reading done. And at one point, the lady who was running it, Aura Visions, she said, "Hey, why don't you hold your daughter in your lap, and let's see what she does." And my daughter was so powerful, my complete aura field changed from my daughter sitting in my lap. I had certain colors for my own personal reading, and then when I got in with her sitting on my lap and had the fields red, the color which she completely overwhelmed me and overlapped me for her energy field. It was amazing, and I've got this 22-page report printed out on everything that she did, and I'm just like, oh my God, I know I love her and everything. Of course, she's my daughter, and I'm going to think she's beautiful. But to see something scientifically that was done like that, I literally, it just left me speechless. So
absolutely, isn't that beautiful proof?
Yeah, it was.
Beautiful. It's just beautiful. She's from Sirius, another planet. She's very, very powerful. She's still connected, and she is bringing in the Sirian energy to help lift the frequency of the planet. She's a beautiful little gal, and she will be very aware and very loving. She loves her daddy, I'll tell you that for sure.
Aw, well, that's good. You'll make me cry and get on air? No.
You're fun.
So let's talk about on how people can contact you. Let's talk about some of the classes, because you have classes that you give. You've got books out. You've got CDs out. How can people contact you? You mentioned your website, AskBetsyMorgan.com. Can you talk a little bit about your classes and your books and stuff?
Sure. I'd love to. Thank you. I teach classes every single month. Classes either teleconference or here in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And these classes take you through a succession of frequencies to take you into the ability to go from, let's say, 0 to 60 in a few weeks in the channeling experience. Class 1 is beginning to channel. Class 2 is called the deepening. And Class 3 is a professional level class, or you can use it for personal growth and development. It covers all the bases there where you can open to a higher level of experiencing your personal power. Or you can use it to develop yourself as a professional channel, and we will find and develop your unique gifts. So those classes are always offered every month, both on the telephone as a teleconference class, or here in my home, actually, is where I teach. I also have a radio show every Friday at 10 a.m. And may I share that?
Yes, please. It's Mountain Standard Time for everybody, 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time.
Thank you for clarifying that. It's on Sedona Talk Radio. Sedona Talk Radio. It's called Betsy Morgan Channels Live. And what I do on Betsy Morgan Channels Live is I receive call-in questions and answer those. So, of course, that's free. Anytime you want to tune into that show, it'd be fun to talk to you, and it sure be fun to know where you heard me so we can give Bryan a shout-out. So I have the classes going on and the radio show, plus I've got books on Amazon. One book that can teach you how to channel is called I'm Beside Myself, A Beginner's Guide to Channeling. And the other book is Ascension, The Accelerated Path into the New Millennium, all about what is going on in 2012. So those are available either on my website or Amazon. I'd actually prefer you get them through Amazon. Actually, it's easier for me, but they are available from me. And I appreciate you asking that question.
And you give...
Oh, can I tell what it is?
Yes, askbetsymorgan.com.
AskBetsyMorgan.com.
Okay. And also you give readings, correct?
Yes, I do give private readings.
Okay. That's awesome.
And that's on the phone, and I can send you the archive after our phone conversation is over.
Okay. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure having you here. Do you have any final thoughts that you would like for everyone to know?
Oh, I have so many thoughts. Let me pick one. First of all, I went in and asked the most important thing in spirit to tell Bryan he's a beautiful being of light that's bringing much awareness and love that's needed in a world filled with chaos and fear at this time. And they're sending you great love, Bryan. They want you to know that you have spiritual help, and all you need to do is call upon them. You have a host of angels at your beck and call, and you are worth it. And also, I'd like to share with everyone who's listening, you have angels and guides. And just because you can't see them or maybe feel them, you can still call upon them. They love you. You never are alone. This spiritual help is always, always with you. All you need to do is invite it, and it will help you to lift the quality or enhance the quality of your own life and become a happier and more loving human being. And Bryan, I just want to thank you for inviting me to be on your show. I've had a wonderful time.
Well, thank you so much. It's been absolutely my pleasure. Like I said, when I woke up earlier today, it felt like it was a brighter day. I felt like I was kind of walking on air. Hopefully I lost 10 pounds. I don't know. I have to step on the scale to measure that out, of course. But I was just all giggy whenever, in terms of getting close to our call for me to be able to talk to you. I was like, it's almost time. So I was telling, put on my on-air symbol on the studio to let everybody know, quiet down, quiet down. So I was so excited.
Thank you.
You're such a beautiful person, and I really do appreciate it. On behalf of everyone, all of our listeners, and everybody who watches this video documentary about you and your work, we really do appreciate everything that you put out into the universe and all that you share with everybody. It's such a powerful piece that we share love with the world, and you do such a magnificent job with it. And I really do appreciate the time being able to talk with you.
Thank you so much, Bryan. I've had such a good time. It's been my pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you. You have a very beautiful day and week. And Happy New Year, too.
Happy New Year, 2012.
2012. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye for now.
Here's our musical guest from JMR Productions, from the musical Everything Happens at Westside High School, One People, One Destiny.
One people, one destiny. We are one people, all created equal, sharing this home. Many nations, we are many nations. Generations facing the unknown. We reach this new century of ours. Through joy and pain we've reached for the stars. Discovering this vast world of ours won't be here unless we're one. Tall.
word from our sponsors.
At Taylor Gifts, we do customized monogramming and embroidery. We can monogram anything from a simple one name on a bib for a baby to a customized logo on a company shirt. We can make gifts for your wedding entourage and gifts for your friends. Label your children's items for school and put names on jerseys for sports. If you have items of your own you want them monogrammed and embroidered, we can do that. Tailor Gifts are sewn with high-quality thread on a professional embroidery machine. So go to the website www.tailorgifts.net, call 251-391-4354, email sales@tailorgifts.net, visit us at ETSY, and Facebook us. We are ready for your orders.
Welcome to WROM, Realms of Music Radio and Social Network. We support independent artists and talk shows, hosting a large discussion forum and an artist gallery. We also have a large social network combining the best of Facebook and MySpace into one. So make sure you submit your music to us and create a profile to promote yourself today. That's realmsofmusic.com, the best of music radio.
The Ghost Tales Television Network, GTN. GTN is designed to give the paranormal TV and filmmaking community the opportunity to showcase their talents and creations. If you believe you have what it takes to create your very own TV show and or short film and you would like the opportunity to showcase your creations, you may contact us at ghosttellstv@gmail.com or call 901-377-7166 for more details. Make sure you visit ghosttellstv.com. GTN, America's Paranormal Superstation.
Thank you for listening to the show. I am your host, Bryan Lee Whatley. I hope you have an amazing weekend, and I look forward to seeing you next time when another story begins. Till then, love and light.